Amara Okonkwo's hands froze on the door handle of the private dining room at the Radisson Blu restaurant in Victoria Island, Lagos. Through the frosted glass, she could see Chukwudi's silhouette as he laughed with investors, passing documents across the polished mahogany table. Documents for the company they'd built together. Documents that should have had her name on them. She'd come to serve their table. Ironic, considering she was supposed to be his business partner, not his waitress. But she'd taken the shift to earn extra money, still believing in their shared dream. Still trusting him. The moment she stepped inside with a tray of jollof rice and grilled chicken, she saw the papers clearly. Chukwudi Enterprises LLC, blazed across the top in bold letters. The investors, 3 men in designer agbadas that cost more than she made in 6 months, were congratulating him on his successful catering startup. His startup. As if she didn't exist. "Ah, here's our server," Chukwudi said smoothly, not even meeting her eyes. "Just set it down there." Amara stood frozen, the tray trembling in her hands. 3 years. 3 years of investing every naira she had into their catering business, of working double shifts at this very restaurant to fund their inventory, of believing his promises that once they secured investors, they'd formalize their partnership with proper contracts. 3 years of, "Just wait a little longer, Amara. Trust me." Chukwudi. Her voice came out strangled. "What is this?" He finally looked at her, and she saw it in his eyes. Guilt, yes, but also irritation at being interrupted. "Amara, we'll talk about this later." "You cut me out." The words fell like stones into the elegant room. "This business, I funded it. My money. My recipes. My contacts. And your name is the only one on those papers." The investors shifted uncomfortably. One of them, a woman dripping in gold jewelry, raised an eyebrow. "Chukwudi, is there a problem here?" "No, Ma. Just a misunderstanding." He stood quickly, trying to guide Amara toward the door. "She's confused." The tray slipped from Amara's numb fingers, crashing to the marble floor. Rice scattered like confetti. The sound echoed through the private dining area, drawing the attention of nearby tables. Her supervisor, Mrs. Adeyemi, appeared instantly, her face tight with panic. "What have you done? That's Mr. Obi's private party. You'll pay for this." But Amara was already untying her apron, her eyes locked on Chukwudi's face, the face of someone she'd trusted completely, who had just stolen everything from her. "Amara, wait," Chukwudi started, but she was already walking away. She walked out of the Radisson Blu that October evening and into the chaotic Lagos traffic, her heart splintering with each step. Car horns blared, Okada riders weaved through the gridlock, and the humid air thick with exhaust and suya smoke pressed against her skin. Her phone buzzed repeatedly in her pocket, Chukwudi calling, no doubt, but she kept walking. Amara was 28 years old, and she'd just lost everything she thought her life was built on. The job was gone. Mrs. Adeyemi had made that clear as she chased her out. Her savings, all of which she'd invested in Chukwudi's business venture, were gone. Her dignity felt gone too. She found herself at Bar Beach, sitting on the sand as the sun set over the Atlantic, turning the water orange and gold. Vendors packed up their wares, roasted corn, coconut, cheap sunglasses. Couples walked hand in hand. Children played in the waves despite their mothers' warnings. Life continued around her as if hers hadn't just collapsed. "You look like someone who needs to talk," a raspy voice said. Amara looked up to see an elderly woman settling onto the sand beside her. She wore layers of tattered clothes despite the heat, her gray hair wrapped in a faded headscarf. Her face was weathered, deeply lined, but her eyes were sharp and kind. A homeless woman, Amara realized, one of many in Lagos who slept on these beaches. "I'm fine," Amara lied, wiping her tears with the back of her hand. The woman laughed, a sound like dried leaves rustling. "Child, I've lived 67 years on this earth. I know what fine looks like, and you are not it. Something about her tone, maternal and knowing, broke through Amara's defenses. The whole story poured out: Chukwudi's betrayal, how he'd cut her out of the business they'd built together using her money, the lost job, her savings gone, her family back in Enugu who depended on her remittances, her younger sister's school fees due next month. The old woman listened without interrupting. When Amara finally fell silent, hoarse from crying, the woman patted her hand. My name is Mama Ngozi, she said. And I've seen many things in this life. What happened to you today is painful, but it is not the end. Sometimes God breaks us down to build us back stronger. Stronger. Amara laughed bitterly. I have 2,000 naira to my name. I have no job. No home soon, since I can't pay rent. What kind of strength is that? The kind that reveals itself when you need it most, Mama Ngozi said mysteriously. Where are you staying tonight? Amara hadn't thought that far ahead. Her room in Yoba was paid through the end of the month, at least. I have a place. For now. Good. And tomorrow, you will start again. One day at a time, one foot in front of the other. This is how we survive in Lagos. This is how we survive anywhere. Over the next hour, as darkness fell and the beach emptied, Mama Ngozi told stories. About arriving in Lagos 40 years ago with nothing, about losing her husband to a truck accident, about her children scattered across continents who'd forgotten her. Her voice wove through the crash of waves, hypnotic and sad but somehow hopeful too. When they finally stood to leave, Amara reached into her bag and pulled out one of the meat pies she'd taken from the restaurant kitchen before everything fell apart. Please, take this. Mama Ngozi's eyes glistened. You have so little, yet you give. This is true wealth, child. Where will you sleep? Amara asked, looking at the darkened beach with new concern. Where I always sleep. Under God's roof. Mama Ngozi gestured at the sky with a smile. Something shifted in Amara's chest. Wait here tomorrow evening. I'll bring you food. You don't have to. I know, Amara said firmly. But I want to. As she took a Danfo bus back to Yoba, squeezed between other tired workers heading home, Amara felt something unexpected stirring beneath her grief. Purpose, maybe. Or just the simple human need to help someone worse off than herself. She didn't know then that this promise would change everything. That Mama Ngozi wasn't just a homeless woman. That Chukwudi's betrayal was only the beginning of the storm about to hit her life. What would you do if your business partner stole everything from you? Hit like if you've ever been betrayed by someone you trusted, and comment below where you're watching from. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. This story is about to get even more intense. What do you think Amara should do next? Let me know in the comments. For the next 3 weeks, Amara kept her promise. Every evening after her grueling job search through Lagos, printing CVs at business centers in Ikeja, navigating the impossible traffic to drop applications at restaurants in Lekki and Ikoyi, facing countless rejections, she would stop by Mama Ngozi's spot on Bar Beach with food. Sometimes it was just bread and akara from the street vendor. Other times, when she'd picked up a day's work washing dishes at a bukka in Surulere, she brought rice and stew, or fried plantain and beans. Mama Ngozi always received these offerings with the same grateful smile, the same blessing. God will multiply it back to you 100-fold. Amara desperately needed those blessings to come true. Her rent was due in a week, and she had exactly 7,000 naira left after paying her sister's school fees. Her family kept calling from Enugu, asking when she'd send more money. Her mother needed medication. Her brother wanted to learn a trade. They didn't know about Chukwudi's betrayal or her job loss. How could she tell them she'd failed? During their evening meetings, Mama Ngozi became more than just someone Amara fed. She became a confidant, a source of unexpected wisdom. The old woman seemed to know Lagos intimately. She'd point out which areas were safest, which business owners were honest, which neighborhoods were growing and might need workers. "You have a good heart, Amara," Mama Ngozi said one evening as they shared roasted corn, watching the sun paint the sky in shades of mango and violet. "But you also have a spirit that others will try to exploit. You must learn to be kind without being foolish." "Like I was with Chukwudi," Amara said bitterly. She hadn't seen him since that day at the Radisson, though he'd called 50 times before she blocked his number, claiming he'd explain everything, and that she misunderstood the situation. "Men like him prey on women like you," Mama Ngozi said, her voice hardening. "Women who work hard, who trust, who believe the best in people. My own daughter was the same way. It destroyed her." It was the first time Mama Ngozi had mentioned her daughter directly. Amara turned to her with curiosity. What happened to her? A shadow crossed Mama Ngozi's weathered face. She trusted the wrong business partners. People from a good family in Abuja. On the surface, everything looked perfect. But behind closed doors. She shook her head. They took everything from her. Her money, her confidence, her joy. When she finally tried to fight back legally, they made sure she lost everything. Last I heard, she was somewhere in Europe, trying to start over. She sends money sometimes, but never visits. Too much shame, too much pain. "I'm so sorry," Amara whispered. "We all carry our burdens," Mama Ngozi said. "The question is whether those burdens break us or teach us." Her sharp eyes fixed on Amara. "You're at that crossroads now, child. Chukwidi's betrayal can either destroy you or transform you. Which will you choose?" Before Amara could answer, her phone rang. An unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. "Hello. Is this Amara Okonkwo?" A woman's crisp voice. Professional. "Yes, who's calling?" "My name is Adiz Nwosu. I manage The Terrace, a new upscale restaurant opening in Victoria Island. Your former supervisor, Mrs. Adeyemi, gave me your number. She said despite your dramatic exit from the Radisson, you were one of the best waitresses she'd ever supervised. I'd like to interview you tomorrow at noon." Amara's heart leaped. Yes, I'll be there. Thank you so much. Don't thank me yet. This is just an interview. Be professional, be on time, and we'll see if you're a good fit. The line went dead. Amara turned to Mama Ngozi, her eyes wide. "I have an interview. A real interview at a new restaurant." Mama Ngozi smiled, but there was something knowing in her expression, something that made Amara pause. "You see, God is already answering prayers. Now you must prepare. What will you wear?" That question sobered Amara immediately. Her interview clothes, a simple blue dress and black shoes, were worn and outdated. She looked down at herself, suddenly aware of how threadbare her current outfit was, how her braids needed redoing but she couldn't afford the salon. "I don't know," she admitted quietly. Mama Ngozi studied her for a long moment. "Come with me." "Where?" "Do you trust me?" It was a strange question. This woman was homeless, living on a beach, eating food Amara brought her. Where could she possibly take her? But something in Mama Ngozi's eyes, that sharp knowing look, made Amara nod. They left the beach as evening deepened into night. Mama Ngozi led her through a maze of streets in Victoria Island, moving with surprising speed and certainty for someone her age. They passed glittering hotels and high-rise apartments, through compounds with armed guards and generators humming. Finally, they stopped in front of a boutique. Not just any boutique, Amara recognized it from magazines. Zara, an expensive store where items cost more than she made in months. "Mama Ngozi, I can't afford anything here." But the old woman was already pushing through the door. The security guard started to stop her, took one look at her tattered clothes, but Mama Ngozi pulled something from her pocket, a card, sleek and black, and showed it to him. His eyes widened. He stepped aside. Amara followed, bewildered, as Mama Ngozi walked straight to the manager's desk. I need you to outfit this young woman for an important interview. The best you have. Professional, elegant, within reason. The manager, a young woman in a crisp suit, looked at Mama Ngozi's homeless appearance with barely concealed disgust. Ma'am, I don't think. Mama Ngozi placed the black card on the desk. I don't think I stuttered. The manager picked up the card, swiped it through her computer, and her entire demeanor changed. Her eyes widened, her posture straightened, and suddenly she was all smiles. Of course, ma'am. Right away. Please, follow me. Amara stood frozen, her mind spinning. Who was this woman? 30 minutes later, she walked out wearing a navy blue suit that fit perfectly, carrying bags with shoes, jewelry, and even professional makeup. The total cost had been over 150,000 naira. A fortune. Mama Ngozi, Amara said as they stood outside the boutique. Who are you really? The old woman's eyes twinkled in the streetlight. The same person I've always been. Someone who sees potential where others see poverty. Someone who believes in repaying kindness. She gripped Amara's hand. Go to your interview tomorrow. Get that job. And remember, true power isn't in wealth, it's in knowing when and how to use it. But why are you homeless if you have money? Some questions are better left for another day, Mama Ngozi interrupted gently. Right now, you need to rest. Tomorrow, you change your life. As Amara rode a taxi back to Yoba, clutching her expensive bags, her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I know what you did. I know you've been meeting that woman. If you want to know the truth about Chukwudi and why he really betrayed you, meet me at the WhatsApp lounge tomorrow at 8 p.m. Come alone. A friend. Amara's blood ran cold. Someone was watching her. But who? And what truth could be worse than what she already knew? The interview at the terrace went better than Amara could have imagined. Adiz Nwosu, the manager, was impressed by her experience, her poise, and especially the professional appearance that Mama Ngozi's unexpected gift had made possible. By noon, Amara had a job offer, starting immediately, with a salary that was 30% more than what she'd earned at the Radisson. She practically floated through Victoria Island afterward, her heart lighter than it had been in weeks. She wanted to run straight to the beach to tell Mama Ngozi, to thank her properly, to understand what had happened last night. But first, she had to deal with that mysterious text message. The WhatsApp lounge in Lekki was a trendy spot where Lagos's young professionals gathered after work. Amara arrived at 8 p.m. sharp, wearing her new work clothes, feeling both confident and terrified. The lounge pulsed with Burna Boy and Wizkid, the air thick with shisha smoke and expensive perfume. A woman waved at her from a corner booth. Amara approached cautiously. She'd never seen this woman before. Sit down, the woman said coolly, gesturing to the seat across from her. She was stunning. High cheekbones, flawless makeup, designer everything. My name is Adana Okafor. I'm Chukwudi's cousin. Amara's guard went up immediately. What do you want? To warn you. And to apologize on behalf of my family. Adana leaned forward, her expression serious. Chukwudi has been bragging to anyone who'll listen about how he manipulated you. How he convinced you to invest your life savings into a business he never intended to share. How he used your recipes, your contacts, everything you built, and registered it all under his name alone. The words were daggers, even though Amara already knew the truth. Hearing it confirmed, hearing that he'd been bragging about it, made the betrayal fresh all over again. Why are you telling me this? Adana's eyes filled with something like shame. Because I stayed silent when I should have spoken up. I watched him do this to you, and I said nothing because he's family. But then I saw you that day at the Radisson, the look on your face when you realized what he'd done. I recognized that look. I've worn it myself. She explained her own story, how a business partner had betrayed her years ago, how she'd lost everything and had to rebuild from scratch. How she'd learned too late that silence in the face of injustice makes you complicit. Chukwudi is planning something worse, Adana continued, her voice dropping. He's been watching you. He knows about the homeless woman you've been helping. He's convinced himself that she must be someone important, that you're hiding assets or connections from him. He believes you have access to money or resources, and he's determined to get them. That's insane, Amara said. I have nothing. And Mama Ngozi is just a homeless woman? Adana raised an eyebrow. Who shops at Zara with a black card? Amara, I don't know who your friend is, but she's clearly not what she appears. And Chukwudi has figured that out too. He's been following you both. A chill ran down Amara's spine. Following us? He hired someone. A private investigator. He's documenting your meetings, taking photos, trying to figure out who she really is and how he can exploit that connection. Adana pulled out her phone, showing Amara grainy surveillance photos of her and Mama Ngozi at the beach, at the boutique, walking through Victoria Island. He thinks if he can prove you have access to wealth, he can sue you, claim you hid assets that should have gone into the business partnership. But we never had a formal partnership, Amara protested. He made sure of that. Exactly. Which is why he's getting desperate. He took your money under false pretenses, and he knows if you lawyer up, he could face fraud charges. So he's trying to flip the script, make you the villain instead of the victim. Adana leaned back. There's more. He's been making calls, digging into your family background in Enugu. He's convinced your family has land or property he can claim rights to. My family has nothing, Amara said flatly. We're not wealthy. Then why is he so obsessed? Adana countered. I'm telling you, Amara, he's dangerous when he feels entitled to something. You need to be careful. You need to protect yourself and your friend, whoever she really is. Amara's mind raced. Everything Adana was saying aligned with the threatening text, with the feeling of being watched she'd had lately. What do you get out of warning me? Peace of mind, maybe. A chance to do the right thing for once. Adana stood up, adjusting her designer bag. I know this doesn't fix what my cousin did to you, but consider it a head start. He's planning to make his move soon, within the next few days. Whatever you're going to do to protect yourself, do it now. She walked away, leaving Amara alone in the noisy lounge, her mind reeling. Amara went straight to Bar Beach afterward, but Mama Ngozi wasn't there. For the first time in 3 weeks, the old woman's usual spot was empty. Panic rose in Amara's throat. Had Chukwudi found her? Hurt her? She searched the beach, asking other homeless people, vendors, anyone who might have seen Mama Ngozi. Finally, a corn seller pointed toward the old abandoned lighthouse at the far end of the beach. Amara found her there, sitting on the steps, staring out at the dark ocean. Mama Ngozi. I've been so worried. Sit, child, the old woman said quietly. There was something different about her tonight. Less frail, more commanding. She'd removed her headscarf, revealing gray hair that was clean and neatly styled. Even her tattered clothes seemed less ragged in the moonlight. It's time I told you the truth, Mama Ngozi said. My full name is Ngozi Odeola Okafor. 20 years ago, I was one of the wealthiest women in West Africa. I owned hotels, restaurants, import businesses across 5 countries. I had everything: money, power, respect. Amara listened, stunned, as Mama Ngozi's story unfolded. She'd built an empire from nothing, coming to Lagos as a young woman with only determination and intelligence. But her business partners, people she'd trusted like family, had betrayed her. They'd forged documents, stolen funds, framed her for fraud. She'd lost everything in the legal battles, her reputation destroyed by lies. My children believed the lies, Mama Ngozi continued, her voice breaking. They were told I was a criminal, that I'd stolen from my own company. They cut me off completely. I spent 10 years fighting to clear my name, living on the streets, starting over from nothing. Again. And did you clear your name? A small smile crossed Mama Ngozi's lips. 2 years ago, yes. New evidence came to light. The real criminals were exposed. My assets were returned, with interest. I could have reclaimed my old life, moved back into my mansion in Ikoyi, demanded my children's apology. But you didn't, Amara said, understanding dawning. I chose to live here instead. To test people. To see who would show kindness to a homeless woman with nothing to offer in return. To find the genuinely good people in this city of performers and pretenders. Mama Ngozi turned to Amara, her eyes gleaming. And then you walked into my life. A woman who just lost everything, who had barely enough to survive, yet you still shared your food with a stranger. Every single day, without fail, without expecting anything. I just wanted to help. I know. That's why I'm going to change your life, Amara. As I promised. Mama Ngozi pulled an envelope from her clothes. Inside this are documents. Ownership papers for one of my restaurants. A successful establishment in Lekki that generates millions monthly. It's yours now. Free and clear. Amara couldn't breathe. Mama Ngozi, I can't accept. You can and you will. But there are conditions. The old woman's voice turned serious. This isn't just a gift. It's a test and a responsibility. You must promise me 3 things. First, you will never turn away someone in genuine need. Second, you will use your success to lift others up, as I'm lifting you now. Third, you will learn everything I teach you about business, about people, about protecting yourself from wolves in sheep's clothing. I promise, Amara whispered, tears streaming down her face. Good. Because Chukwudi is coming for you. He believes you have something valuable now. And he's right. But he has no idea what he's truly dealing with. Mama Ngozi's smile turned sharp. It's time we taught him a lesson he'll never forget. What do you think Mama Ngozi has planned? Comment below if you think Chukwudi deserves what's coming. Don't forget to share this story with someone who loves a good revenge plot. Hit that like button and subscribe for the next chapter. Things are about to get serious. The restaurant was called Afrique Moderne, a fusion establishment that blended traditional Nigerian cuisine with contemporary dining elegance. When Amara first walked through its doors as the new owner, she couldn't believe it was real. Crystal chandeliers hung from exposed wooden beams, traditional Ankara fabrics covered the chair cushions in vibrant patterns, and the walls displayed artwork from emerging African artists. The staff, 15 employees, from chefs to servers to managers, stood assembled in the main dining room, confusion and concern evident on their faces. They'd been told their beloved owner, a woman they'd never met but who'd always treated them fairly through her appointed managers, was handing the business to someone new. Good morning, Amara said, her voice shakier than she wanted. My name is Amara Okonkwo, and I know this transition is unexpected. I promise you that nothing will change regarding your employment, your salaries, or how this restaurant operates. I'm here to learn from you as much as to lead you. An older chef named Emeka stepped forward, his white uniform pristine, his expression skeptical. With all due respect, ma'am, what do you know about running a restaurant of this caliber? It was a fair question. Amara had been a waitress, not a restaurant owner. Before she could answer, Mama Ngozi, dressed now in an elegant bubu, her transformation from homeless woman to businesswoman complete, entered through the back door. She knows that the heart of any restaurant isn't the food or the decor, Mama Ngozi said, her voice commanding immediate respect. It's the people who work there and the customers they serve. Amara understands service, hospitality, and kindness. The business mechanics, I will teach her. Your job is to continue doing what you do best, creating an experience that keeps customers returning. Over the next 2 weeks, Amara threw herself into learning the restaurant business. Mama Ngozi was a demanding teacher, arriving at dawn and leaving after midnight, drilling Amara on everything from reading profit and loss statements to managing suppliers, from handling difficult customers to predicting food trends. Knowledge is power, Mama Ngozi said one evening as they reviewed vendor contracts in the back office. But applied knowledge is transformation. Understanding the business isn't enough. You must anticipate 3 moves ahead, like chess. Where will your customers be in 6 months? What will they want? What are your competitors planning? Amara absorbed everything like a sponge. She learned that Mama Ngozi's business empire had been built on this same foundation: anticipation, adaptation, and treating every person in the chain, from delivery drivers to high-paying customers, with equal respect. Her new job at the terrace became her laboratory. By day, she worked as a waitress, observing customer behavior, testing theories, learning what worked. By night, she applied those lessons to Afrique Moderne. The restaurant began to thrive under her attention, bookings increasing, positive reviews flowing in. But she couldn't forget Adana's warning. Chukwudi was looking for her. He found her on a Thursday evening, 3 weeks after Mama Ngozi's revelation. Amara was leaving Afrique Moderne after a long day when she spotted him leaning against a car, a modest but reliable Toyota she'd recently purchased. Her first car, bought with her own money from the restaurant's profits. "Amara," Chukwudi said, pushing off from the vehicle. He looked haggard, his usually pristine appearance rumpled. "Please, just give me 5 minutes. I have nothing to say to you." She tried to walk past him, but he grabbed her arm. "I know about the restaurant. About the old woman. About everything." His eyes were desperate, calculating. "I know she gave you Afrique Moderne. That's a 500 million naira business, Amara. We could run it together, like we always planned. I made mistakes with the contracts, but I can fix this." But nothing. She wrenched her arm free. "You stole my investment, Chukwudi. You cut me out of a business I funded with my own sweat and tears. You took 3 million naira of my money and acted like I was just your employee, not your partner. The business needed proper structure. I was going to add your name once we secured more funding." "I don't care about your excuses." Amara's voice echoed across the parking lot. "You used me. My money, my time, my trust. And now you want access to my restaurant? You're insane." His expression hardened. "I know things about your new benefactor. Things that could destroy both of you. Ngozi Okafor isn't the saint she pretends to be. She was investigated for fraud, Amara. Money laundering, tax evasion, embezzlement. What if I told the press that you're partnered with a criminal?" Fear spiked through Amara's chest, but she kept her voice steady. Those charges were overturned. She was innocent, and everyone knows it now. Do they? Chukwudi smiled cruelly. Or did she just have enough money and connections to make the evidence disappear? In Nigeria, the truth is whatever story people believe. I could make your life very difficult. Your restaurant could face sudden health inspections, licensing problems, vendor issues. My uncle works in the city licensing board. One word from me. Is that a threat? A new voice cut through the darkness. Mama Ngozi emerged from the shadows, flanked by 2 large men in dark suits. Security, Amara realized. Mama Ngozi had been watching, protecting her. Chukwudi's confidence faltered. "Mrs. Okafor, I was just threatening my protégé?" "Yes, I heard." Mama Ngozi stepped closer, and despite being a foot shorter and decades older, she suddenly seemed far more intimidating than Chukwudi. Let me make something very clear, young man. I have forgotten more about business and power than you will ever learn. Your uncle in the licensing board? I know him. In fact, I know exactly how much he's embezzling from that office. I have documents, video evidence, everything needed to send him to Kirikiri prison for the next 15 years. Chukwudi's face went pale. And that's just the beginning, Mama Ngozi continued. I know about the loans you've taken using Amara's information as collateral. The credit cards you opened in her name. The 3 million naira you stole from her, spent on your lavish lifestyle. I have proof of all of it. Criminal proof. You're bluffing. Try me. Mama Ngozi's voice was ice. Walk away now, forget Amara's name, forget she exists, and I'll forget about the evidence I've compiled. But if you ever approach her again, if you even think about threatening her or her business, I will unleash legal hell on you so comprehensive that you'll wish you were never born. I have 20 lawyers on retainer who would love nothing more than to destroy a small-time con artist like you. The silence stretched out. Lagos traffic hummed in the distance. Finally, Chukwudi took a step back, then another. This isn't over, he muttered. Yes, Mama Ngozi said quietly. It is. He left, and Amara's knees nearly buckled with relief. Mama Ngozi steadied her, surprisingly strong for someone her age. How did you know all that about him? Amara asked. I've been investigating him since the day you told me about your situation. I told you, child, in business, you must think 3 moves ahead. Chukwudi was a predictable move. He was always going to come back, always going to try to exploit you again. I just made sure we were ready. Thank you, Amara whispered. Don't thank me yet. He said something that concerns me. He mentioned having information about me, about my past. I thought I'd buried all the damaging lies, but Mama Ngozi's expression darkened. Someone is feeding him information. Someone who wants to hurt both of us. Who? Before Mama Ngozi could answer, Amara's phone rang. An unknown number, but she answered it anyway, her hand still shaking from the confrontation. Hello. Amara Okonkwo. A man's voice, official and cold. Yes. This is Inspector Adele Eek from the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. We need you to come to our office tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. for questioning regarding financial irregularities at Afrique Moderne restaurant. Do not ignore this summons. The line went dead. Amara looked at Mama Ngozi, horror dawning on her face. They're investigating the restaurant. Someone reported us. Mama Ngozi's jaw tightened. Not someone. I know exactly who did this. The same person who's been trying to destroy me for 20 years. She pulled out her phone, making a call. We need to talk to my lawyer. Tonight. This isn't just about Chukwudi anymore. Someone far more dangerous is making their move. Who? Amara demanded. Who wants to destroy you that badly? Mama Ngozi's eyes were distant, filled with old pain and new determination. Someone I once called sister. Someone I trusted more than anyone in the world, until the day she stabbed me in the back and took everything from me. Her name is Josephine Afolabi. And if she's surfaced after all these years, it means she's planning something far worse than a simple investigation. The EFCC office in Ikoyi was a grey, imposing building that radiated authority and intimidation. Amara sat in the waiting room the next morning, her palms sweating despite the air conditioning. Mama Ngozi sat beside her, calm and composed in a tailored navy suit, looking every inch the powerful businesswoman she'd once been. Their lawyer, Barrister Chidi Okoro, a sharp-eyed man in his 50s whom Mama Ngozi had called at midnight, reviewed documents on his tablet, occasionally making notes. Remember, he said quietly, answer only what they ask. Don't volunteer information. Don't speculate. If you're unsure about anything, look at me before answering. Inspector Adelik finally called them in. He was a lean man with wire-rimmed glasses and the tired expression of someone who'd seen too much corruption. His office was sparse: a desk, 3 chairs, filing cabinets overflowing with case files. "Miss Okonkwo," he began, not unkindly, "thank you for coming in voluntarily. We've received allegations that Afrique Moderne restaurant is being used for money laundering activities. That the transfer of ownership from Mrs. Ngozi Okafor to you was done to hide illicit assets." "That's absurd," Amara said, her voice stronger than she felt. "Mrs. Okafor gifted me the restaurant legally. Everything was done through proper channels." "Yes, we've reviewed the documents. All very legal on paper." Inspector Adelik opened a folder. "But we've also received evidence suggesting that Mrs. Okafor's original assets, which were supposedly returned to her after her fraud case was overturned, were actually never legitimate in the first place. That the new evidence that cleared her name was fabricated." "That's a lie," Mama Ngozi said, her voice hard as steel. "Inspector, I spent 10 years fighting to clear my name. Every document, every piece of evidence was verified by multiple courts. Who is making these allegations? I'm not at liberty to say." "Josephine Afolabi," Mama Ngozi said flatly. "It's her, isn't it?" Inspector Adelik's expression flickered. "Confirmation enough." "Inspector," Barrister Okoro interjected smoothly, "unless you have concrete evidence of wrongdoing, not just allegations from a source with a known vendetta against my client, this investigation is harassment. Mrs. Okafor's case was settled years ago. Double jeopardy laws don't apply if new evidence emerges," Inspector Adelik finished. "And that's exactly what Mrs. Afolabi claims to have. She's presenting it to our director this afternoon." He looked at Mama Ngozi with something like pity. "Mrs. Okafor, I remember your original case. I was a junior officer then. I always believed you were innocent. But if Josephine Afolabi has found something we missed..." "She hasn't found anything," Mama Ngozi said. "She's manufactured it. Just like she manufactured the original evidence against me 20 years ago. That's a serious accusation." "It's the truth." Mama Ngozi leaned forward. "Josephine and I built our business empire together. We were more than partners. We were sisters in every way that mattered. I trusted her with everything. And she repaid that trust by systematically stealing from our company, framing me for her crimes, and walking away with everything while I lost my reputation, my family, my life. If that's true, why didn't you pursue charges against her when your name was cleared?" Mama Ngozi was quiet for a long moment. "Because I was tired, Inspector. Tired of fighting, tired of courts and lawyers and the endless battle. I just wanted peace. I thought if I walked away, she would leave me alone. I was wrong." After another hour of questioning, they were released, but with the understanding that the investigation would continue. As they walked out into the Lagos heat, Amara felt like she was drowning. "I'm so sorry," she said to Mama Ngozi. "This is all happening because of me. Because you helped me." "No, child. This was always coming. Josephine has been watching me, waiting for me to care about something, or someone, again. Now that she knows I do, she's attacking." Mama Ngozi's phone buzzed. She looked at the screen and her face hardened. "We need to go. Now." They drove to a private hospital in Victoria Island. Mama Ngozi moved through the halls with grim purpose until they reached a private room. Inside, a woman lay in the bed, mid-40s, beautiful even in her weakened state, connected to various monitors. "Mama," the woman whispered, tears streaming down her face. Amara realized with a shock. This was Mama Ngozi's daughter. The one she'd mentioned was somewhere in Europe, too ashamed to visit. "Chinasa," Mama Ngozi said, rushing to her bedside. "What happened? When did you get back to Nigeria? 2 days ago. I came to find you, to apologize, to... Mama, I'm so sorry. For believing the lies about you. For cutting you off. For everything. Chinasa gripped her mother's hand. But that's not why I called. Josephine came to see me in London last month. She told me she was planning something to finally finish what she started. She said she was going to destroy you and anyone you cared about. I tried to warn you, but I didn't have your number, I didn't know where you were. Slow down, baby girl. You're here now. That's what matters. No, Mama, you don't understand. Chinasa's monitor beeped faster as her agitation grew. Josephine knows about Amara. She's been watching both of you. She has photographs, recordings. She's been planning this for months. And she said. Chinasa's voice dropped to a terrified whisper. She said that this time, she wouldn't just take your money and reputation. She'd take your life. The room went silent except for the beeping monitors. She threatened to kill you. Barrister Okoro said, immediately pulling out his phone. That's a criminal threat. We can use this. It won't be that simple, a new voice said from the doorway. Everyone turned. A woman stood there, elegant and poised in a cream-colored suit. She was around Mama Ngozi's age, with sharp features and cold eyes. Behind her stood 2 men in expensive suits. Lawyers, clearly. Josephine Afolabi had arrived. Hello, Ngozi, she said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. It's been a long time. Not long enough, Mama Ngozi said, positioning herself between Josephine and her daughter. Get out of this room. You have no right to be here. Actually, I have every right. This is my hospital. Well, one of them. I own 3 across Lagos now. Didn't you know? Josephine's smile widened. I've been very successful while you were playing homeless woman on the beach. All those years of planning, of building, of taking what was rightfully mine. It's paid off beautifully. You stole everything from me, Mama Ngozi said, her voice shaking with suppressed rage. I took what I deserved. We built that empire together, Ngozi, but you always had to be the face of it. The beloved Mama Ngozi, the woman who came from nothing. Meanwhile, I was the brains behind everything, the strategy, the connections, the real work. But did I get credit? Did anyone know my name? Josephine's composure cracked slightly. I was always in your shadow. So yes, I took what I earned. And I'd do it again. Why? Amara spoke up, unable to stay silent. Why come back now? Why not just leave her alone? Josephine's gaze shifted to Amara, assessing. Ah, the little waitress. The charity case. You have no idea what you've stumbled into, do you? She turned back to Mama Ngozi. I came back because I can't let you have happiness. Not after what you took from me. What I took from you. Mama Ngozi's voice rose. I gave you everything. A partnership, a fortune, a sisterhood. You were the one who betrayed. You took Chinedu from me. Josephine's mask finally shattered, revealing raw pain underneath. He was supposed to be mine. We were together first, Ngozi. But then you came along with your kindness and your warmth, and he couldn't see anyone else. He loved you until the day he died in that truck accident. Even though we both know it wasn't really an accident. The room went deathly still. What are you talking about? Mama Ngozi whispered. The truck that hit Chinedu 25 years ago? I paid the driver. I arranged everything. Josephine's smile returned, vicious and triumphant. You took the man I loved, so I took your happiness. And then I took your business, your reputation, your children. But you survived. You rebuilt. So now I'm back to finish the job. The EFCC investigation is just the beginning. I have evidence that will not only destroy you legally but will implicate young Amara here as your accomplice. You'll both go to prison. And this time, I'll make sure you never get out. You're confessing to murder, Barrister Okoro said, his phone raised, recording. In front of witnesses. Josephine laughed. You think I'm stupid enough to let that recording stand? My lawyers will have that phone and any other devices in this room within minutes. And even if they didn't, who would believe you? I'm Josephine Afolabi, one of the most respected businesswomen in West Africa. I own hospitals, hotels, half the commercial real estate in Abuja. My word against yours. She shook her head. You've already lost. One of her lawyers stepped forward to take Barrister Okoro's phone, but Chinasa suddenly sat up in bed, yanking out her phone. I'm recording too, she said weakly, holding up her own phone. And I've been live streaming this entire conversation to my social media accounts. 12,000 people are watching right now, including a judge I know in Abuja and 2 investigative journalists. Josephine's face went white. You should have stayed away from my mother, Chinasa said, her voice growing stronger despite her physical weakness. You should have let the past stay buried. But you got greedy. You got arrogant. And now everyone knows the truth. The room erupted into chaos. Josephine's lawyers tried to grab the phones, but security guards, hospital security that apparently answered to someone else, blocked them. Inspector Adelique burst through the door moments later with uniformed officers. Josephine Afolabi, he said, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder, fraud, and making criminal threats. You have the right to remain silent. As they handcuffed her, Josephine looked at Mama Ngozi with pure hatred. This isn't over. Even from prison, I have resources. I have people. I will destroy you. No, Mama Ngozi said quietly. You won't. Because I'm done running from you. I'm done being afraid. You wanted war, Josephine. Now you have it. Later that evening, as they sat in Chinasa's hospital room, the danger passed, the immediate threat contained. Mama Ngozi held her daughter's hand and looked at Amara with tired but grateful eyes. I brought you into this mess, she said. I should have known Josephine would target anyone I cared about. I'm sorry. Don't be, Amara said firmly. You changed my life. You gave me hope when I had none. You taught me that kindness isn't weakness and that we don't have to accept the betrayals life throws at us. Whatever comes next, we face it together. Chinasa smiled weakly. She's right, Mama. And you're not alone anymore. I'm here. I'm staying. And we're going to rebuild our relationship, our family. No more running. No more shame. Mama Ngozi's eyes filled with tears, the first time Amara had seen her cry. How did I get so lucky to have you both in my life? You fed a homeless woman who needed help, Amara said softly. You taught that waitress that her life could be more. You gave without expecting anything back. That's not luck, Mama Ngozi. That's grace. But even as they shared this moment of relief, Amara's phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Josephine wasn't working alone. You've won this battle, but the war isn't over. Watch your back. Someone who knows the truth. Amara's blood ran cold. She looked up at Mama Ngozi, about to show her the message, when suddenly the hospital room lights went out. Emergency backup power kicked in seconds later, but in those seconds of darkness, Amara heard footsteps running down the hallway. Someone had been watching them. Someone who'd cut the power deliberately. And whoever it was, they were still out there. The power outage lasted only 30 seconds, but it was enough to send everyone into high alert. Hospital security swept the floor, finding nothing but a service door propped open, someone's escape route. Inspector Adelique assigned police protection to both Mama Ngozi and Amara. For the next week, They lived under constant surveillance, unable to move freely. Josephine Afolabi sat in prison awaiting trial, her confession having gone viral across Nigerian social media. The country was divided. Some praised Chinasa for her courage, others questioned why it had taken 25 years for the truth to emerge. Amara tried to maintain normalcy, running Afrique Moderne with increased security, continuing her work at the terrace, but the threatening message haunted her. Who else wanted to hurt them? And why? The answer came on a humid Saturday morning when Adana walked into Afrique Moderne. Amara spotted her immediately from the kitchen window where she was reviewing the lunch menu with Chef Emeka. Her first instinct was to call security, but something about Adana's demeanor stopped her. The woman looked different, urgent, almost frightened. "Please," Adana said when Amara met her in the dining room. "Just give me 5 minutes. This is important." Against her better judgment, Amara sat down across from her at a corner table. "What do you want?" "To warn you. Again." Adana's hands shook as she pulled out her phone, showing Amara a series of text messages. "Chukwudi has been planning something with his uncle, the one in the licensing board. They're not giving up on trying to take your restaurant. But it's worse than I thought. They've partnered with someone connected to Josephine Afolabi." "Who?" "A man named But. He's Josephine's business partner and, well, more than that. They've been together for years. He's been funding Chukwudi, feeding him information, helping him build a case against you and Mama Ngozi. He's the one who cut the power at the hospital. He wants revenge for Josephine's arrest, and he's targeting everyone involved." Amara's blood ran cold. "Where is he now?" "I don't know. But Chukwudi is meeting him tonight at the Eco Hotel, room 1247. They're finalizing their plans to destroy your restaurant and frame you for financial crimes." Adana's voice dropped. "I'm telling you this because I realized something after Josephine's arrest. My family, my cousin Chukwudi, his uncle, all of them, they're just like her. They use people, destroy lives, and feel entitled to do it. I don't want to be part of that anymore." She stood up. "I'm leaving Lagos after this. Starting over somewhere new. But I needed to warn you first. Be careful, Amara. These men are dangerous, and they have nothing left to lose." That evening, Amara, Mama Ngozi, Barrister Okoro, and Inspector Adelik coordinated a plan. While police set up surveillance at the Eco Hotel, Amara and Mama Ngozi would confront Chukwudi and Tun directly, wearing recording devices. "This is dangerous," Inspector Adelik warned. "These men are desperate. Desperate people do unpredictable things." "I know," Amara said. "But I'm tired of running. Tired of being afraid. It's time to end this." At 9 p.m., they walked into the Eco Hotel's luxury tower. The lobby gleamed with marble and gold fixtures, wealthy patrons moving through with the casual confidence of people used to excess. Amara felt out of place despite her new clothes, her new restaurant, her new life. Part of her was still that waitress who'd watched her world collapse. But another part, the part Mama Ngozi had nurtured, was stronger now. Resilient. Ready. Room 1247 was at the end of a quiet hallway. Mama Ngozi knocked, and Chukwudi answered. His surprise quickly turned to calculation. "Amara. Mrs. Okafor. What a surprise. We know about your plan," Mama Ngozi said calmly. "We know about But and the scheme to destroy Amara's restaurant. It's over, Chukwudi." Chukwudi's face darkened, but he stepped aside, letting them enter. Inside, a man sat on the sofa. Late 50s, expensive suit, cold eyes. But. "Actually," Tun said, standing, "it's just beginning." He pulled out a gun. Amara's heart stopped. In the hallway, she knew police were listening, preparing to intervene, but could they get here fast enough? "You've cost me everything," Tun said, his voice eerily calm. Josephine was my partner, my lover, my future. We built empires together. And you destroyed her. Now I'll destroy you. She destroyed herself, Mama Ngozi said, her voice steady despite the weapon pointed at her. She confessed to murder, Tund. She killed my husband. Do you really want to die defending a murderer? She did what she had to do. Tun's composure cracked. Chinedu would have destroyed our plans. He was going to expose our money laundering operations. Josephine protected us. She protected herself, Mama Ngozi interrupted. And she used you, just like she used everyone. Can't you see that? The door burst open. Police flooded in, weapons drawn. Drop the gun. Drop it now. What happened next felt like slow motion. Tun turned the gun toward Amara. Mama Ngozi threw herself in front of her. A shot rang out, but it wasn't Tun's gun. One of the police officers had fired, hitting Tund in the shoulder. He went down, the gun clattering across the floor. Chukwudi tried to run but was immediately tackled by two officers. Mama Ngozi lay on the floor where she'd fallen trying to protect Amara. For one heart-stopping moment, Amara thought she'd been shot. But then the old woman sat up, breathing hard but unharmed. Are you okay? Amara asked, helping her up. I'm fine, child. I'm fine. Mama Ngozi's hands shook, the adrenaline finally hitting her. But that was too close. Too close. Chukwudi was handcuffed, screaming about his rights, about police brutality, about anything that might save him. His uncle would be arrested within the hour. Inspector Adelik assured them. The entire conspiracy would be exposed. Why? Amara asked Chukwudi as police led him past. Why couldn't you just leave me alone? He looked at her with something like genuine confusion. Because you had something I didn't. Success I couldn't fake. Real value I couldn't steal. It drove me crazy, watching you thrive while my life fell apart. He laughed bitterly. Ironic, isn't it? I threw you away like garbage, and you turned into gold. As they walked out of the hotel into the Lagos night, police sirens fading behind them, Amara felt something release in her chest. The fear. The anger. The betrayal. It was all still there, but it didn't control her anymore. Is it really over? She asked Mama Ngozi. Wow. What an incredible journey. Did this story touch your heart? Hit that like button and subscribe for more powerful African stories like this. What was your favorite moment in this story? Which character did you relate to most? Drop your comments below. I read every single one. Share this story with someone who needs to hear that their breakthrough is coming, that kindness is never wasted, and that betrayal doesn't have to define you. Your story isn't over yet. Turn on post notifications so you never miss our next emotional story. We drop new content every week that will make you laugh, cry, and believe in humanity again. Where are you watching from? Comment your country below. And remember, the greatest revenge is massive success built on kindness. Never let betrayal steal your compassion. Until next time, keep being kind, keep pushing forward, and keep believing that your life can change in ways you never imagined.